Gilg Jew, Gilg J as Gilg Nerach.
As Cartner showed you Claare na Gael, Wilhelm Grimm. My name is Robert Catin Carswell, Robert the Carslach.
Have you ever had tell of old Bobby Bob?
And I'd like to welcome you to this bilingual programme, Claare na Gael. And in Claare na Gael you'll hear something of the English language, as Sir Langness, Nishu Clash and Per Jane Gelg. And in the programme too you'll hear something of the Manx Gaelic, Chinya na Mera, the mother tongue of Ellen Vanning, the Isle of Man. As Bannacht and Durish, we began looking at William Gell's three-legged rhyming scheme in which he decided to write his poem called Mannin Veg Veen, which was published in 1906. It's a poetic tour of the island, though the poetry gets a little strained by this choice of his for this three-legged rhyming scheme. Tammy ang ol back a skeel and ferish na brerich and Grimm merich erich, can a monage na ferish man in gion de vefier, ach palchibus, well, den chenerin ledden chwech, as eer ons na skeel and tashinolach rish vai panto, tarid an aglach takert. Whilst I was away in Manchester recently, I saw a staged docudrama with quite a lot of film involved with it about the career of the Dubliners. It was called Dubliners Encore. We'll start with the song on the major minor label that widened the Dubliners' fame, though they'd already made a number of albums for Transatlantic by then. Tashu Geestiach Rish Radio Vanning, Stashu the Nation, for Skull or Scalia Mach, by Dúlish Ellen Vanning.
The name of this song is The Seven Drunken Nights, but we're only allowed to sing 5 of them, so here goes. Oh, as I went home on Monday night, as drunk could be, I saw a horse outside the door, where my old horse should be. Well, I called me wife and I said to her, will you kindly tell to me, who owns that horse outside the door, where my old horse should be? Ah, you're drunk, you silly old fool, still you cannot see, that's a lovely sow that me mother sent to me. Well, it's many a day I've travelled 100 miles or more, but a saddle on a sow sure I never saw before. And as I went home on Tuesday night, as drunk could be, I saw a coat behind the door, where my old coat should be. Well, I called me wife and I said to her, will you kindly tell to me, who owns that coat behind the door, where my old coat should be? Ah, you're drunk, you silly old fool, still you cannot see, that's a woolen blanket that me mother sent to me. Well, it's many a day I've travelled 100 miles or more, but buttons in a blanket sure I never saw before. And as I went home on Wednesday night, as drunk could be, I saw a pipe upon the chair, where my old pipe should be. Well, I called me wife and I said to her, will you kindly tell to me, who owns that pipe upon the chair, where my old pipe should be? Ah, you're drunk, you silly old fool, still you cannot see, that's a lovely tin whistle that me mother sent to me. Well, it's many a day I've travelled 100 miles or more, but tobacco in a tin whistle sure I never saw before. And as I went home on Thursday night, as drunk could be, I saw 2 boots beneath the bed, where my old boots should be. Well, I called me wife and I said to her, will you kindly tell to me, who owns them boots beneath the bed, where my old boots should be? Ah, you're drunk, you silly old fool, still you cannot see, they're 2 lovely geranium pots me mother sent to me. Well, it's many a day I've travelled places in geranium pots I never saw before. And as I went home on Friday night, as drunk could be, I saw a head upon the bed where my old head should be. Well, I called me wife and I said to her, will you kindly tell to me who owns that head upon the bed where my old head should be? Ah, you're drunk, you silly old fool. Still you cannot see that's a baby boy that me mother sent to me. Well, it's many a day I've travelled 100 miles or more, but a baby boy with his whiskers on sure I never saw before.
Ronnie Drew and the Dubliners, and a song Ronnie heard from Joseph O'Haney, Joe Heaney, who stayed with him for a couple of years. I think he moved into his house in Dublin. Dubliners Encore remarked that it would take the Dubliners 4 hours to get to a gig and 4 days to get home again. Now, William Gell's 1906 poem, Mannin Veg Veen, takes us from Douglas Head down the east coast to Derbyhaven, gives a nod to Castle Rushen, but then writes Gell, hard by, the famous race was run. Ere Epsom's fame had well begun, the Derby Stakes were lost and won. And this is a reference to the race held on Langness, instituted by James Stanley, who went on to become the 7th Earl of Derby and Stanlachmoor, but actually took control of the family affairs long before the death of his father William in 1642. He'd put up a cup for a horse race on Langness after, when as Lord Strange, he'd assumed control of Manx affairs from 1627. The course and rules are set out in papers in the Rolls Office. It was the 12th Earl of Derby, though, actually the 11th Earl was from a different branch of the family. By that time they'd inherited the title, and so it was the 12th Earl of Derby who established the Oaks in 1779 for 3-year-old fillies, and then whilst hosting a dinner, the 12th Earl agreed that Epsom should have a race for 3-year-old colts, and that of course became the Derby, first run at Epsom in 1780. Tan Chyd sgil sydd yw'r sio en mysig, ben fwsi y chwning irin. Cyt yr awf y ben bech Ameris yn nynec ons ger y cabash elen. As hen cwning irin stiach on, as dia uliwn y cabashen. Verjere doet een venris yn nynec, stiach liat sy gera as ibri mach y chwning. Shoo, doet y bojan, na gynni uliwn y cabash yn ein chwning veg. Ta, voidjen, doet de chunning ieren. Sai a famanem, as gauw merem gus me weg chunning. A gerauw a voidjen haraldach. Laelia henk back a chunning, as for slugger shees ullion a cabashen. Der doort de ven rishenienek, stiakliat ze gera as ibri mach a chunning. Shoo, doet de voidjen, na gin slugger shees ullion a cabashen ein chunning weg. Ta, voidjen, doet de chunning ieren. Sai a famanem, as gauw merem gus me weg chunning. A gerauwe voidjen haraldach. Now, this is the song of the miller, Can the Melinydd, a Welsh song in which the miller tells of his comfortable house, his belongings and his animals, and asks little Mary, can she see them all? It's performed here by PLETHYN.
Ma gen I efo melyn yn codi beder oed, a pheder perol arian o dan ei bedwar troed. Welidi Mari fach,
Welidi Mari fach,
welidi Mari an hwyl. Mi naid I thang I branci, ddo dan y fein i'r wen, mi redi ffigen mi llir heb dynnu'r ffrwyn o'i ben. Welidi Mari fach,
Welidi Mari fach,
welidi Mari an hwyl.
Mae gen I drol a cheffil a merlin bychan trot, a deg o ddefyd trewion a mochyn yn y got.
Welidi Mari fach,
Welidi Mari fach,
welidi Mari an hwyl.
mae gen I dig y syrus a melyn newydd sbon, a thair o wardig gweithion yn pori ar y ddron.
Welidi Mari fach,
Welidi Mari fach,
welidi Mari an hwyl. te, a dresser yn y gegin a phopeth yn ei le. Welidi, welidi, Mari bach,
Welidi, welidi, Mari bach,
welidi, Mari anwyl.
PLETHYN and Can the Melinydd, the song of the miller, bragging of his comfortable life and, in fact, how well he and his wife are doing. And then he asks, Welidi, welidi, Mari bach, welidi, Mari anwyl. Do you see, little Mary? Do you see, dear Mary? So I'm not quite sure who Mary is or why he's obviously not trying to attract her if he's already married. Rish and Tras Geert henk back an chunning. As wij giel brie je ulju na kabashen, der doet een ven rische nienek, stjachliat zich ere, as ibri mache chunning. Shoo, doet de boodjen, na ginny ulju na kabashen ein chunning beg. Ta boodjen, doet de chunning eren, sai a famenem, as gauw merem gus mo weg chunning. As esh, huggen ni heen na sai a famen na chunning. As ren na chunning jiren corleshi gus a wegegge. Nish doort hij, gauw toich der nove de chogre put de chledges de chabash, ta mishgol de chor quirre na goldi bancha. As de leer wat ulju een jitrach elia. Balt vis se bij der quoibad? Well, genodem instuach na bij shit stau. Han guljen hem wei, as a fanag, weg een sager de fusad, as a shinnach de vene chlerach, as van alter von Gael toei. Ach trimsje van boodjen, no de rauwe chwish na lummergen. William Gell describes for us now, crouching Langness, long drawn out, like the alligator's snout. Here the winds hold revel rout. But aloft, sweet mercy's light flashed through tempestuous night to guide the mariner aright. Now this is the lighthouse at Dressick Point, the southerly tip of Langness. It was established in 1880 and engineered by David and Thomas Stevenson. The Stevensons proposed a lighthouse tower, an engine house for the fog signal, houses for the 3 lighthouse keepers, including various cellars for coal and oil, with workshops and a garden space, and all this was estimated to cost £38,350. In fact, the lighthouse tower was completed ahead of schedule, and the light was first displayed in December 1880. The fog signal was discontinued in 1987 and the lighthouse became automated in 1996. It's 19 metres in height and there are 77 steps to the top of the tower, although, of course, automation means that no one's treading them on a constant basis these days. from what is ostensibly Duncan Chisholm's album Black Coolin', but it was written and played there by Duncan Chisholm himself, Ross Ainsley and Hamish Napier, and they were all here to play at the Centenary Centre in Peel from Cruniac this year. Siodiw stasiwn a nasiwn radio fanyn si Claare na Gael wisgol yr sgeiliau ma Cartnish. Mish Robert Gytyn Carswell, Robert de Carslach.
Did the other hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
Te Claare na Gael reclaas yn y siacht yn lwg gigol yr sgeiliau ma yn chyd chyrt, gwrs yma di Claare yn radio fanyn elia, y sian trwyd yn chraman agart, as yn y dega radio fanyn. As te Claare na Gael maast in a giedenddoor en de podcasten visvergeten nasty in de dega radio vanning, na trud en reich de podcast jou. Apple Podcasts, Amazon Audible, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, na Alexa. Castletown Bay, note we in brief, double tongues with rugged reef, treacherous as the midnight thief. Here, the youth of yore would swim, laving body, head and limb, healthful toilet, nature's vim. Well, he's put vim in inverted commas and followed by an exclamation mark, and he's talking about this natural form of washing, and this is swimming in the sea, and likening it to the use of the cleaning product. Vim scouring powder was created by William Lever and first appeared on the market in 1904. Now, don't forget that this poem was published in 1906, so he's obviously seen all the advertising about what was then a newfangled product. And this vim was produced in Port Sunlight. Monolithic, scarlet stack, prow repels the waves' attack, hurling bold defiance back. Mark the wilderness of rock, furrowed by the tempest's shock, detachments hewn from nature's stock. Poolvash quarries now in view gave St. Paul's, when reared anew, marble stairs of dusky hue. Well, more of this tale anon. Susliat, doet de gunjing hierin, ha ginnelt al je na fully vantje. Ach ren de wen fusie Kenia, as ha doortie weg, as ha je gunjing hierin naar soel. Ach henke bakrish lie de loer. Susliat, doet hij, tan a fully vantje vorig de noord. Ach ha doort de wen fusie weg, as ha je gunjing hierin naar soel. Esh, rennie komme as koenlach, as rennie komre senedach ek schien, as rennie biel djurger, as huggie na jadu de reilare a chorre de chledge, as esh hai taig as a voirek. Henk back reach a gunjing irin as grey, susliat, as hai a rosh as rennie boele a chumme koenlach a jan, de ren e tujem schies. As smunny a gunjing irin, de rawie a varu a ven fusie egge, as hai ar soel, as vei fie trimshach. Shana shen an chid skiel ven fusie a gunjing irin, Selior Ljorish Jacob o Jacob Ludwig Karl Grimm, as a brer egge Wilhelm Karl Grimm. On music from Brittany as AVEL DRO play and sing their way through a piece simply described by them as Polka.
Il y a 10 ans que ma vigne est mûre, il est temps de la vendanger. Il y a 10 ans que ma vigne est mûre, il est temps de la vendanger. Prête-moi ton panier et nous irons à la vendange. Prête-moi ton panier et nous irons la vendanger. Prête-moi ton panier et nous irons à la vendange. Prête-moi ton panier et nous irons la vendanger. Il y a 5 ans que ma vigne est mûre, il est temps de la vendanger. Il y a 5 ans que ma vigne est mûre, il est temps de la vendanger. prête-moi ton panier, et nous irons à la vendange. Prête-moi ton panier, et nous irons la vendanger. Prête-moi ton panier, et nous irons à la vendange. Prête-moi ton panier, et nous irons la vendanger. Il y a 3 ans que ma vigne est mûre, il est temps de la vendanger. Il y a 3 ans que ma vigne est mûre, il est temps de la vendanger. Prête-moi ton panier, et nous irons à la vendange. Prête-moi ton panier, et nous irons la vendanger. Prête-moi ton panier, et nous irons à la vendange. Prête-moi ton panier, et nous irons la vendanger. Il y a 1 an que ma vigne est mûre, il est temps de la vendanger. Il y a 1 an que ma vigne est mûre, il est temps de la vendanger. Prête-moi ton panier, et nous irons à la vendange. Prête-moi ton panier, et nous irons la vendanger. Prête-moi ton panier, et nous irons à la vendange. Prête-moi ton panier, et nous irons la vendanger.
Breton band AVEL DRO, and a track they called just Polka, but was in fact a suite of traditional Breton polkas. Tan nasgiel syl jor na slúren yn chyder as bi fémain chit bacca sós yn ach Langness, ach dim gol taich dor I nesh. Sé sai dŵr féli. Cyd yr awf y dynion as ebledega a cochlein cyrj. Fe na haidŵr sa chaga, as fe dunnel as dana. Ach, egan gera jay, fe courage the hira fail a hon hin, les 3 farlin as an doris courage day. Genel mi son gino les shaw door day, furry dera tammy fedden the dunye kaart de groeneliam, as nien ree cord au uljun the tashtigen ser a reachtega, rosh me valley reirum. Esh, ledden chorry, haya mach se Gael. As honnige verder au na jade wun shen, jorish she bilje, ve kjada nastert mach, mor de bega doch stilp daru. As doet ish, bailt we mach went, as nieuw chitrod merem. Gateloor, dregere, zijn thou corlesje bartsjo de foy de valje gus me airs me boer. We've come across this idea that Poolvash black marble was used in St Paul's Cathedral before, but there was an article about it in what was then called the Proceedings of the Isle of Man Natural History and Antiquarian Society, an edition in 2008. Eva Wilson gave a paper on Bishop Wilson and the steps of St Paul's. St Paul's was completed in 1710, including black marble right enough, but that was from an Irish quarry. Meanwhile, Bishop Thomas Wilson had sent some Poolvash marble for use in St Peter's Church in Liverpool, which had been consecrated in 1704. That church is no longer there, but Church Street in Liverpool takes its name from it. About the same time, there were a couple of men who'd been born in the island, and they were working for a mason called William Holland in London, and they came to get a supply of black poolvash marble, but they weren't going to use it for St Paul's, it was for general use round the London area. However, there is now some poolvash marble in St Paul's. It dates from 1873 when some renovation work was being done, and the poolvash stone turned out to be a good match for that black Irish marble. Now the quartet of Barbara Gael, Christine Brigazzi, Ernie Thorne and Graham Crowe sing a song of longing, as they sing of home, from Manx National Songs. Not correctly seasonal by any means, as the quartet sang an arrangement by Mavis Kelly of that song of exile, thinking of springtime at home here in the island, in Emil Ingram's words, to a tune associated with Morolair Baldwin, set to that tune by W.H. Gell. Port St Mary, nestling near, calls back scenes to memory dear, now, alas, in sad arrear. May the good time come again, when crews would struggle might and main to drag the weighted herring train. So this seems to be a nostalgic look at spuds and herring, then, thinking of the times when the herring fishery was at its height and was an important part of the diet of the Manx people. Well, now we come to something of an extended passage, which is, well, straight out of an old-fashioned British school history textbook, mixed with jingoism and, in fact, anti-Catholic sentiment as well here. In 1906, the Boer War was only recent history, 1899 to 1902, hence the jingoism was still strong. Bluff Spanish head in giant loom, here tempest spake with awful boom, the invincible armada's doom. That huge and mighty armament, imperious Spain to represent, had come on schemes of conquest bent. Sought they Britannia's reign to take, proud pontiff hovering in their wake, but reckoned not with gallant Drake. As gawi fairgin a bilgin, as rinne kiaull me giet na queg bilje elje, as looked they cor a bart a gielen, dimmer geir soule. Esh looked they de lia chit back, higher rosh lesjeli jailach, ren grey. Fuddy pyre morta shingen, shadu nine cledensail. As trefad ang roin rish tamalt beg, henkad shell gav a gluna shis onliún, as goil rit de chereilach leis a riffelegge. Shell ger doet een liedjelach, kree het tau goil reert. De wiele wai sio dregerei ta kwaliag na sai bangan bilje darach, te foam cor bulled stiach sa tool cherek. O, ta rod merum doert een liedjelach, voor die troergin kujach shadow nyan tail. Van Shelga led narreltach de golmerish, as me saw hired rumboe, der a henked a shaach mullion rei, as na shoelach gulmagiet de brioil. Ach, na jai, grauw gier by shage by urge by, as grauw dulliger by glaciage. Cornish band Dalla playing Tan and Gov, a Neil Davy tune named in honour of Angov, the Gael, the blacksmith, Michael Joseph, who led the 1497 Cornish rebellion against a tax which was imposed by England in order to pay for an English war against Scotland. I'm afraid Michael Joseph ended up hanged, drawn and quartered. Stasiwn yn asiwn sien radio fan in the jarws yn sio cartnish, tas yw geisach rys Claare na Gael, mer yn pyn Robert gyda'n carswell, Robert y carslach.
Ever heard tell of our Bobby Bob?
Well, dwrt yn liedjelach, ha nodym smunion nufis gynwer na mulgyn rei, ta cadam y gyd gyn gei fe on. As hai a rosh merish yn derwyn ege, mys derfil yn y soja. As eich, henke der dunje na heis hús ons bilje, as kummel dunt untol strana, a shege leis yn fer helje. Nis eich, dwrt yn liedjelach, cyrid tawda yna yn sien. De wiele bai sio dregere, ta shaach mullion rei on. Ta mis shege, as ta golma giet. O, gau rod merem, dillion liedjelach, for die kergin kujach shadow nyan tail. Me saw henken shege de noos as haya meru. As lug tamelt, henka de dunje na shadow unlurge. As van fer elia courage vai, as van a lie fagus day. Te gin de wel acht in me doilet de chore short hin, door te nie jailach rischen dunje. She rider mish dregere, as de rail me heen vai gol raw tavi, tam me a chor warm lurge. Failed they to gain the prize they sought, but were a wholesome lesson taught. Experience oft is dearly bought. Learn ye who would these shores molest, Britannia's sons still do their best, the God of battles does the rest. Be this the burden of our song, may Britain still united, strong, defend the right and right the wrong. May this great union never melt, but still be girdled in one belt, the Gael, the Saxon, and the Celt. Now, after years of thinking it was a myth that the wreck of an Armada vessel might have given its name to Spanish Head, Adrian Corgel's paper appeared in Isle of Man Studies, as that the proceedings later became, and this was in 2021, and he referred to a vessel called the Sancta Catalina, possibly wrecked off Spanish Head in 1588. The Sancta Catalina was a patache, a very light and shallow two-masted vessel, originally a warship of 23 guns used for coast and port surveillance, but it was also used as a fleet ancillary vessel. And according to a list I found online, the Sancta Catalina had a crew of 69 and could carry 238 troops. Now, in Dubliners Encore that I saw in Manchester recently, they mentioned that Kieran Burke was the Irish speaker amongst them, and this is a song we've enjoyed a good number of times over the years here in Claare and Gael, as Kieran's whistle leads into his rendition of Peggy Lechermore.
Hoitegam ach pegan bannistear, Peba Fario, see us at a bears and paw. Ho, Verum, Megas, Mega Joe, she drum of Gael, one of me, she Peggy like her wood. Irish Gael and Nearich, you're annoying the bob wood, and Scale of Hirsch, them Nagan Yanach Lawad Shoil. Ho, Verum, Megas, Mega Joe, she drum of Gael, one of me, she Peggy like her wood. Ysgrin ang aloe tachtan ar lachor, the sunless galley gilly giga vicadisha coil. Oh, verum, megas, mega Joe, she gram of tail, one of me, she Peggy like her oil. Your Irish sauce of Peggy is just a bar and ard, or the head Quayana, a spare will she on. Oh, verum, megas, mega Joe, she gram of tail, one of me, she Peggy like her oil. Megas, mega Joe, she drum of Gael, one of me, she Peggy like her war.
An old favourite, Peggy Lechermore, sung by Kieran Burke with the Dubliners, and that was recorded in concert on the 4th of December 1964 in Cecil Sharp House in London. She Gramachri is my enemy, she's the love of my heart and my soul is she, Peggy Lechermore. Now, William Gell backtracks a little from Spanish Head as he says, Mysterious fissures pierce this height, whose yawning depths elude the sight in regions of eternal night. Who reads aright the mystery knows how Mother Earth's convulsive throes disturb her outward calm repose. Well, he's referring here to the chasms. And he goes on, he's looking out from here anyway. Placid, just beyond the sound, lies the realm of king uncrowned, Cary's Isle, the world renowned. O thou strange and wondrous calf, thy productions make us laugh. Little grain, but heaps of chaff. So perhaps we should be saying calf and laugh and chaff here. I think probably calf he's going for. And this, one of the landing points on the near side of the calf is Cary's Harbour. Records from the early 1400s show the calf owned by the Stevenson family of Balladool. It was bought from them in 1644 by the Stanleys, and when the Stanley line ran out, it went to the Murrays, Dukes of Atholl. In 1832 it was sold to Deemster Drinkwater, and later his daughter, his sole heir Eleanor, married Lieutenant Colonel Clarence Horatio Carey of Castletown, and so the calf came into the Carey ownership. Son tref mi rai leis na nistjaw, ta mi gol na stafi na fuddy usha getlach. O gaw rod merem Gillian li jailach, fuddy quegjin cújach shadow de mai nine tail. Ma saw haya mera ulju cújach, as charawe father, rosh ma denkad quail dyniv a kiau edd veg, as we kiaull inrichen herish ongleish. Cor daiort dot yn ni jailach, lesh dad gur shen, tau jean gur sledden omajan. Gelios tau cor jirach I dreger a ferelia, de berg shen jintem, vech lier rio choaglach on, de jinnach en lienli heen chit de ve riojich, as tuja marrow as a sperg as a tolu. Oh, ta rod merum dot yn ni jailach, for die na shejin kujach, shadow de mai nigh in cleansail. Me saw high na shejau rumbu, der a renket balia, on van rie chor slijf vogrige maag, for die quaer be enig rai ratch nigh in nienegge, as henke lesh, chit de vey en dunje pussy egg. Now we heard Welsh trio PLETHYN earlier, and here again we heard all three of them really. It's Roy Griffiths who leads on this song, joined in wonderful harmonies by Sister Linda and by their cousin Jack Gittins.
Rwy'n fodlon cydnabod bod olwen yr eneth brydferthaf ond un. Ni syna fi'n mymryn fod bairdd pob oes yn hanner addoli ei llun. Ond rhaid I mi addef hynny fod un sy'n anwylach I mi. Mae'n canu ar aelwyd y gegin nawr, ond yw fy olwen I. Ni o'n nad oes fflamgoch sydd anau, am wregis fan wylid wen, na chadwyn o berlau llais am ei gwn, na choron o air ar ei ffen. Ond waith gen I ddim am hynny, y sioncaf o bawb ydyw hi, heb ffyrling o ddyled I neb drwy y byd, ond yw fy olwen I. Be all fod rai gwanach ei dwylo, be all fod rai sgawnach ei troi, ond beth dys e dwylo fy nghariad morwyn, ac aneno mi ffynon y coed. Beth ddeiau o'r tyddyn ar aelwyd, am plant sydd gyn amled ei rhin, un dyner ei chalon a chaled ei llawn, ond yw fy olwen I. Pan glywais fod meillion yn tyfu, lle bynnag yr ai olwen y bar, ni gerddais o amgylch fy nhyddyn glas, a dychwelais I rodion yn ar. Does undyn all gyfrif y meillion, a'r blodau sy'n chwerthin mor ffri, lle cerddodd un arall sy'n ddigon di sôn, ond yw fy olwen I. Canedydd ymhlant yr hen aelwyd, a minnau yn llesg ac yn hen, o ferfydd disgwyl I olwen y bair, bod yno a chusan a gwen. Ond mi o'n am un fydd yn glynu tra croesaf y llun. Mi fydd yr olaf I droi a'i chen,
Hon yw fy Olwyn ni, that's my Olwyn, she, sung by PLETHYN from their album Drws Agored, Open Door, which I see was released back in 1991. Ach draw fame choir bir en Gael, call y chiaull, mor pyrjain chon ednius. As henkenly jailach rai, as doorte, de jinnach ferjain the deni ege, rai asel ye. Esh, doorten ri, signed and vios ege nis jinusus pyrjain hiol, as me visse filiel, signed and chiaun ege, a sheneds nis tujum. As nimmers klassen kujelia skiel shore Jorischen Brerigen Grimm and Achiert. Now the Carey family held the calf from the 1840s, having married into it, as it were, through Eleanor Drinkwater, and it was still in Carey hands in 1906 when William Gell published his poem, hence the calf was Carey's Isle. The Careys in fact sold the calf just a few years later in 1910. Well, we'll return to William Gell and the calf again next time. Ach kaart nisht en treerjit de chokjoon, Claare Shaw. Chris Pearson is waiting in the wings, and he'll be bringing you the best in chill-out music for your Sunday evening between 7 and 9. At 9 o'clock, Judith Lay will be here to present Sundown. We close Claare Gael this time with the band Heisk, who played for us on the first night of Uncruniac this year. Ach Sinead of Amigray, so until the next time, this is Robert Cattin Carswell, Robert de Carslach.
Old Bobby Bob.
Wishing you a very good night. Eve, I'm a Crieri, was Orselier, as my Yeri and shared you.